story short, I spent a whole bunch more than it cost to go to Hondros and got my real estate degree through Columbus State. And, but that ended up really throwing me into this, like, I look back on it, like, I think I literally took out like $20,000 in student loans just to get my real estate license. And when you can go to Hondros for what, like
1,200,
$1,700, like all in. And so interestingly enough, Tom Barrowman was really good friends with a lady named Shannon Grimm. You may have heard the name. She's been around in the industry a long time, 20 plus years. And she reached out to Tom and was like, hey, is there somebody in your class or somebody that, that would like to come work for me, unlicensed assistant to help me out? I'll pay him under the table. She was giving me like, I think it's like $20 an hour back then. And this was back in 2013, maybe 2014. And 2013 and 2014. And so I started working for her under the table while I was in real estate school. Like, I mean, I was filing paperwork, putting signs in the yard, lock boxes in the houses. I'm watching her. She taught me, like, she gave me a binder on how to fill out a purchase contract. Like, I'm diving into this. I'm learning the stuff that they don't teach you before you get it. I walked in the door knowing all of this stuff. Interestingly enough, go ahead.
I was going to say, let me ask you this. You love art, right? Go to school for that. Try firefighting, maybe it's correctional officer. What was it about real estate for you that truly caught your attention and piqued your interest? Because even at that time, right, even 2013, 2014, we were still coming out of 08, 09. It was getting better. But what was it about the industry or real estate in general that really caught your attention?
John, this is a great question that I pseudo know the answer to. And it's like, I've always been, like I said, I've been that guy that's left to center. I don't, beat to the sound of somebody else's drum. Like, I beat to the sound of my drum. And I've been a roll with the punches guy my whole life. Like, okay, well, tighten the bootstraps, here we go, sort of thing. Like, this makes sense to me in life right now. Let's follow this path. And, we'll talk about that when we get closer to management, because there's a pattern of that in my life. But like, I've always been kind of like a dreamer. I was that kid, that BC average kid in high school that does just enough job, a great enough job to get by. I'd like to say that I'm a pretty intelligent guy, but I was that guy that wasn't paying attention. During math class, I'm looking out the window and I'm thinking about, something else. Like, I never wanted to follow the system and follow society. I always, and that's one of the beautiful things about my parents. They're both doctors, and none of us kids followed in their footsteps. My dad's brother is an attorney. There is an art teacher, an art professor. And then my uncle was an entrepreneur. One of my other uncles, he's in real estate. He owned a guitar business, a string of Radio Shacks, and all sorts of things. So I've always been I just like something about it. Like, I remember sitting in principles and practice, and Tom was very brutally honest. If you don't know Tom Barrowman and you get to meet him, like, sit down and pick his brain. He's been around a long, long time. And he flat out was honest. Like, it's what I love to hear. He was like, most of you aren't going to make it. This is hard. This is a business that you have to put effort into. And that got me excited. I didn't get scared. He's like, most of you look around the room. I think there was like 15 of us in here. In 5 years from now, only 2 of you will still be in the real estate business. And I remember looking around and going, sucks to be you guys. Like, seriously, like, that was my mentality. And like, the next day, 2 or 3 people dropped the class. Like, and I was still in the front row every single time. Like, that's just who I was. Like, I don't know. I think I don't like having, interestingly enough, I ended up in management, and I do have people above me. But I like the entrepreneurial idea of real estate and being able to create my own future by, my own hustle.
No, I'm curious. You switched your degree to go and get your real estate license, and um, when you made that decision, especially with your family background, right, of doctors and people that it's not 100% commission based industry. Now, if you own your own practice, yes, right, because you're an entrepreneur and you're a business owner in that case. But sometimes you're working under an umbrella. Did you get any pushback, supporters, doubters, any pushback of like, Aaron, like this isn't a safe career. Like we just came out of a recession and a real estate collapse, and now you have a little one, and you're going to jump into this business full time and go 100% into real estate. Like, what was that dynamic like? Did you get any pushback?
Um, I think there is one person, when I was going through real estate school, I was working for Shannon Graham, and I was also still working, um, for a guy doing HVAC work here locally, still a really great friend of mine. But I had worked for him for a couple years. I was doing residential installs, furnace and air conditioner installs and stuff like that. And I remember the day that I told him, I'm doing this. I'm getting my real estate license, and I quit, and I stopped working for him. And I remember him saying to me, it's hard, and most agents don't make it, and the door is always open. If it doesn't work out, you can come back and work for me. And I use that again. It's fuel. That stuff is fuel to my fire. You're insinuating that I'm not going to be successful. Well, now I have to prove you that I'm going to be successful. And interestingly enough, like he now, huge supporter of mine. I've sold homes to his kids, his cousins, his sisters, him, a couple times. It's, but my family, I think my mom and dad were just so happy to see me um, on fire for something. They were always very big supporters of us kids to be who we want to be, and find ourselves in lives, and do what makes you happy. And you know, interestingly enough, that again pushes into my management career, because my dad spent the majority of his life as a pediatrician helping kids. But on top of that, he also loved to teach and teach other doctors, and up and coming doctors to become the best versions of themselves. And they hired people fresh out of med school and stuff like that. And my dad found a passion in teaching, which kind of lent, if you ever read, and some of the viewers are watching, ever read my Real Producers article from, I don't know, I think it was April of 2020 or 2021, right in the middle of COVID. I talk about, this whole switch from me leaving HER to Key Realty to all of this all happened at the same time. My wife was pregnant, we were getting married, and my dad passed away suddenly. And it was just this, like, heavy time in my life where, everything just sort of fell and mushed into place. And I just rolled with the punches, like I said. And I really felt like going into the management thing was my next step logically, because I felt like it was something I had to do for my father, because that's what he spent his life doing, was
Yeah.
helping people become better versions of themselves and taking care of other people, including his family.